Hello, 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 hello. Oh, I can hear myself coming back through the old earphones here. Let's get it all right. How are you doing anyway? Are you okay? I hope you are. Let me just turn the sound down on my earphones. Otherwise, I'm going to deafen myself to death. Right, excuse me. Here we go. The old git's back. He's got his Tommy braces on today. And of course, if you hear any funny noises like dogs barking, it's because the windows are open. Because it's gorgeous here today. Temperatures well into, the high 20s. In fact, tomorrow, where I live, because we close the swimming pool in the winter, and tomorrow it opens for the summer, so we have the swimming pool at the end of my garden, which is good. Okay, so here we go. The old git is angry, and I try to be as serious as I can. I haven't been on for a little while because I've got some new equipment, and I don't want to go to the technical bits, but it stumped me. I've been working with it for a couple of weeks, and I've been having to phone China, where it came from, to see if we could make it work properly. But anyway, that's another story. Today's show is the Stasi communist government of the UK complacent in allowing the takeover of the country with two-tier system, which it has. There's no doubt about that. And pandering to a group that's only 4% of the UK population. You know who I'm talking about, okay? Many hundreds of people being sent to prison for basically having a different view from the stormy stars of dictators. If you have a different view, you're immediately labelled as left wing. Oh, sorry, right wing, left wing, never. Uh, so is freedom of speech actually being eroded? Well, I'm going to use one example of where this Stasi government is cracking down on people that should be cracked down on. And it's true, uh, as I said, you're labelled, automatically labelled right wing if you don't agree with the, so I see it as like kind of communist doctrine. That's what it is. Anyway, um, well, let's just take as a benchmark of deciding why the 4% can say and do as they like and will not be prosecuted. Let's take the case of Lucy Connolly. Yes, she's the wife of a Conservative councillor, so I understand, and she's also a mother, and also she recently lost a child. Let's take her case and have a look at that first.
So this article highlights the extreme nature of the sentences that were handed down to people after the events in Southport. Now, this lady reacted in anger after hearing the news of little children being butchered, and she reacted in a way that I wouldn't have myself. I wouldn't have said some of the things she said. They were a bit, they were a bit strong. But at the same time, you do need to take into consideration the fact that people were angry. They've just heard the news that children have been butchered in such an horrific way. So it does bring out emotion in people. Now, I don't believe people should be sent to jail for speech, but ultimately, if the government is going to hand out a punishment, should they really be giving a mother, a childminder, 31 months in jail for a social media post? Does that really serve or benefit our society in any way, shape or form? Like 31 months, that's a big sentence. And of course you can do the comparisons. There's plenty of news stories out there where people have got less time for violent and sexual crimes. Now again, I wouldn't have said the things that this lady said, but she did react in anger. Is it really beneficial to our society to give a mother, a childminder, 31 months in jail? Again, I don't believe in sentences for speech, but they could have given this woman a month in jail and she would have learned her lesson. I don't advocate for that, by the way. But to give someone 31 months in prison, that is extreme.
Right. Okay. So and the reason I'm using clips to describe these things is that I don't want it all coming from my mouth. There's many people out there that are really totally disgusted with this government and the sentences they're handing out to people just for having or exercising their right of freedom of speech. I'm sure that the soldiers that fought in the Second World War, First World War, to protect our right to say what we like without fear, would be turning in their graves right now. In fact, why would they have fought if this is what it's come to right now? Anyway, now I'm going to play some social media stuff from members of the 4% club, as we call them, okay? 4% of the population. Calling for, during the various ones I'm going to put on, they're calling for their own laws and things like convert or die, pay protection money, this kind of thing. So let's first of all listen to one preacher who thinks that they can win and that eventually Muslims are going to take over. Let's listen to this fella first.
I've been told that they are planning to come to Wakefield on the weekend, but I highly doubt that they will come. You see that these protests that they're doing, they're in localities where the numbers of the mu'mineen are very little. Down south, Middlesbrough, very small number of mu'mineen. Have they not read into the history of the Battle of Badr? How we were only 313 in number, but that 313 defeated an army of 1,000, simply because of their unwavering faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And all we can do is, we pray Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides these individuals towards the path of Islam. You've seen some of their own members denounce them, completely going against what they are teaching and saying that, look, I used to be part of them, but I don't stand with them anymore because I realize that they are too extreme in their beliefs. And as much as they want to destroy Islam and eradicate Islam, Islam is here to stay. And it is here to stay till the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, because that is the promise of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is the reason why Islam is the quickest growing religion wherever you go in this world. No matter how much you try to destroy Islam. They tried it 1400 years ago with the Prophet ﷺ. They failed then. People have tried throughout history. They failed then. People are trying right now. They are currently failing. They will try all the way to the day of Yawm al-Qiyamah, and they will continue to fail simply because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that He will be the one to protect the religion of Islam, even if there is nobody else left to protect it.
Right, so that chap there is empowering people, talking to people. We're going to take over UK, blah blah blah. Now, if I was to say something like, I'm going to take over the whole of Bradford and you're going to live by my laws, there'll be no burqas, and I basically insult the Islamic population, I would really be in trouble. I'm sure I would get arrested, and I'm sure they'd try to put me in prison too. So, it's kind of threatening us in a way, like, some of the tweets that some people put on the other way round. I don't think it's any as radical as that coming on saying, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, we're going to take the country out. But no, nobody's saying that. It's only that 4%, or not all the 4%, because we'll come to that during this video. So, now, I find this next clip, which I'm going to show you, it's insulting and it's degrading, and should he be teaching this in the mosque? Should he be preaching this to fellow Muslims? And it's about how should we treat non-Muslims when we take over the world, or wherever, Europe or wherever other country, UK in particular, and Europe. How should we treat them? How should they be treated? And, you can go and find these things. You can go and fact check them. You can go and see that there's more of this, which is very anti-Christian, anti-West, which is terrible. I don't understand why some of these people ever live in the West if they hate it so much. But anyway, I don't want to digress too far off what I'm trying to explain. So let's have a look now at another preacher saying how non-Muslims should be treated. Let's have a look at this, shall we?
Is there such a thing in Islam? Is there equality of faith? If we look to one hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. On the authority of Abu Huraira, Sahih Muslim. So no Sunni Muslim can really argue against Sahih Muslim or Sahih Bukhari. Rasulullah said, don't greet the Jews and the Christians before they greet you, and when you meet any of them on the roads, force them to go on a narrow side of it. And Imam Malik, he said the same thing as well. In fact, Umar ibn Khattab, who Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that if there was to be another Nabi after me, it would be Umar ibn Khattab in his own charter, not charter of United Nations, in his charter with the people of Sham, with those Christians of Sham, in his charter was Kafir and Muslim, they're not allowed to wear the same clothes as one another. If the Muslim, he comes out on the day of Eid and he sees Kafir with nice clothes, the Kafir has to take his clothes off and give it to the Muslims. The Kafir, when he walks inside the street, he has to wear a red belt around his neck, and he has to have his forehead shaved, and he has to wear two shoes which are different from one another. He's not allowed to walk on the pavement. He has to walk in the middle of the road, and he has to ride on a mule. And that's only for the adults, not for the children. And you can see how Islam would make the child become a Muslim. The kafir, or the child growing up in a state of kufr, he will turn to Islam. Why? Because the child will be walking along with his dad. He said, Dad, yeah, why you got your forehead shaved? I don't know whether these Muslims, they make me do it. Why you got to walk? Why can't you ride the animal? Like the Muslims, they ride the animal like this. Why are you walking with both legs dangling on the side of the donkey? Why is it every time the Muslim comes to you, he asks you for your clothes, you give it? Why is it every time he tells you to get down from the horse, you have to take it? And not only that, he said the kuffar, they can have their churches. They can have their churches, but they're not allowed to ring the bell. And if a Muslim, he's walking by, let's say for example, a Muslim's been on Edgware Road for example. He's had some nice shisha, some nice steak, no hubble bubble, we don't deal with anything like that. And he's walking along and he's rubbing his belly and he's like, oh man, I don't want to upset my wife tonight. What he can do, he can go to the church, knock on the door, John, let me in. Okay, no problem. John has to put up Abdul Ghafoor for the night. Abdul Ghafoor with his big belly, having his nice kebab. John has to open up the church and he has to go there and sleep there nice and comfortable and say, all right, John, thank you, and then carry on going early in the morning. Which wife is going to live with John under that type of circumstances? What kind of honoring is this for me to live with John and Abdul Ghafoor comes every Friday night and sleeps in our bed as well? Of course. Because sunnah is to look after the guest, innit? I can't make you sleep on my floor if you can't. You're a Muslim, by the way. So what about when Abdul Ghafoor goes to John's house? John, sleep on the floor, and I'll sleep on the bed. What's going to happen? Tracy's going to be on the floor thinking, my husband, he's got a forehead shaved, and this one, look at this one, Khatab, mashallah. Which one's more attractive? We're not gay, but I'm just saying. A man with his forehead shaved and one belt around his neck and two different colored shoes, or Amir Khattab. Amir Khattab, we're talking about here now, with that nice Chechen hat, big beard, a bit to the side, yeah? And he's got the badges there, la ilaha illallah, la ilaha illallah, yeah? And he's got a big gun, and he's got a big camouflage jacket on, nice boots, gloves as well. Even if he's got a couple of fingers missing, still looks attractive, yeah? What's Tracy gonna do? John's in for a problem. He just let him in for a kebab, he lost his own wife as well. So everyone's going to become Muslim. That is, my dear brothers, the Islamic State.
When Muslims go and conquer the adjacent country, what do? We kill them all? No. The Prophet says, the first thing you do is call them to Islam. If they refuse, then tell them Allah obliged upon you to pay taxation. In return, when enemy comes and attack your country, you don't fight. We Muslims protect you. Subhanallah, for this little money? Yes. And you enjoy sitting in your homes and in your country and live your life normally. But the ruling is for Sharia. So you do not open nightclubs, you do not fornicate. If they refuse, then we have to fight. And if we fight you, then we capture you, you become our slaves, and we take your land, and you take where, because you refuse. I give you two good options in the coming 40, 50 years when the Muslims become strong as they're supposed to be.
I'm sorry now. If you heard that right, I'll repeat myself. I forgot to switch the mic back on. Which shows you that I do this all on my own. And I get no support. Anyway, I get plenty of support from people watching. I mean, my television station gets about 18,000 watches a month, which is great. But anyway, don't digress, Michael. Carry on. That man was saying, basically, that if you don't pay, as I said before, to be taken care of, and you don't convert, and you'll fight, and they'll kill you. You don't deserve to live because you're non-Muslim. You're kafir. This word they use, kafir, is a non-believer, somebody of no value at all. When he referred in the guy in the last one who referred to kafir children, meaning the children of non-believers, people of rubbish, they want them to take their way because they say, oh, look at him, he's like this, like that, he's got everything, and look at my father. You know, they seem to know how to play that kind of card. Anyway, now, again, I still ask the same question. Could you make remarks like these that I'm showing you about Muslims? I think we all know the answer. As we are a country under these threats, I'm going to say something to you now. Let's listen to a lady from the Heritage Foundation about Islam. Her name is Bridget. I'm going to play this to you because why I said, I want you to pay particular attention to this, because what I said is, again, it's not all Muslims. But how many is it? Let's have a look. So this is Bridget's warning to all of you.
There are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world today. Of course, not all of them are radicals. The majority of them are peaceful people. The radicals are estimated to be between 15 to 25%, according to all intelligence services around the world. That leaves 75% of them peaceful people. But when you look at 15 to 25% of the world Muslim population, you're looking at 180 million to 300 million people dedicated to the destruction of Western civilization. That is as big of the United States. So why should we worry about the radicals, 15 to 25%? Because it is the radicals that kill. Because it is the radicals that behead and massacre.
Did you get that message? Now, she said 15 to 25% of Muslims worldwide are radicals who want to eradicate non-Muslims. They want to destroy the West, they hate us, and they are trying to take us over. But 75% of Muslims are peaceful people, which I've always said. A lot of people that came to England originally came just for a good life and to make something. They left maybe the oppression of where they come from, but all of a sudden what follows on behind is the radicals, and they take over the mosques, so they start preaching this rubbish that we've just been seeing a few minutes ago. So 15 to 25%, it equates to 180 million to 300 million people who are dedicated to the destruction of the Western civilization. That's a lot of haters that want to destroy you and me. As she says, the radicals that kill, behead, and rape and massacre. So there's enough of them. In fact, there's too many of them, and they're growing. Now, before we move on, and I think that's quite poignant, the point that we just made about there being so many, between 180 and 300 million Muslims that want to kill us. That's the biggest army you've ever seen. And they are showing it. They're showing that they have power by going out and praying in the streets. If you're a white woman or a Christian or a Sikh or a Hindu or any other denomination and you pray in the street, you probably get locked up because you'll be upsetting the 4%. And yet they go out regularly and stop traffic and pray on the streets and no, nothing's done. Okay? But it's not only the UK, again, as I say, the UK is suffering, but it's all over Europe. And the radicals now are showing their strength, showing they are not afraid to show violence towards non-Muslims. And I just want to play you another clip to just kind of set the scene to talk about what is actually happening all over Europe and other parts of the world too, where these people are coming out of the woodwork and they're showing us that they don't care what we think. They're showing us they don't like how we live, and they're showing us that they're going to take over. Look at these. As you see there, does that look as if they're friendly towards us? I don't think so. And if you noticed towards the end of that clip, there's the Islamic clock of doom. Let's just bring that back up again. And I want to go through it because I want to know, where do you think we are? Well, let's look at the clock, shall we? We can see it there. And it starts at 12 o'clock there. Sorry, it starts at 1 o'clock. It says target an open democracy. Well, England and most of Europe are open democracy, so there's a good target. Begin mass migration. Well, I need say no more about that. I think that part of the clock is ticking away very well. Then random attacks begin to happen. Now, again, we've had many random. We've had theatres blown up. We've had auditoriums where children were watching things. We've had bombers on bridges. We've had all sorts of random attacks, which obviously they do to create the fear. But they're not just creating the fear in me. It's all the population, and including the good Muslims that go to the mosque that say, look what we've done. We can do this to you. You better conform. You see, they're the easy target. The good Muslims are the easy target, right? And then they create the Muslim enclave. So as you see, big cities, you have London, Birmingham, Leeds, Bradford, Rochdale. They basically make these enclaves, and it demands special privileges, which we know this idiot government that we have now gives to them. In fact, the latest one is they want a blasphemy law. We don't need that. You know, you can insult who you like and what religion you like. And if I'm a Christian, you know, and you insult my religion, I'll probably give you a pop on the nose, but I'm not going to kill you. And you have the right to your opinion, same as they have that. But no, you don't have the right. And very soon, I think this law is going to be passed, and I think it's going through at the moment, and we'll end up not being able to even speak about Muslims in any sense. So the demand there, that's at number 5 o'clock. We aren't halfway, just less than halfway around, and already things are changing. Then infiltrate and target seats in government. Now, I've got a little thing that I picked up today that sort of talks about that. I don't know how good it is, actually, but we'll show you that after. And then you can see, what about people like Sadiq Khan? He is turned. There should be more Muslims there. There should be more mosques closer to the centre. There should be more facilities. London for him and his cronies is changing. He doesn't represent everybody. I think he's a very underhanded and backstabbing man, and he is destroying London. Destroying it. He wants the pubs to close early. He doesn't want people driving cars, but he's in a great big gas guzzler which is, I think, it's an armoured thing that he, in case somebody tries to hit him. But anyway, he's a horrible man. And also we have other fractions now coming up who are voting, have been voted in this little enclaves now in Bradford, places like that, where they are now starting a political party. And they are creating, well, that's at number 8, but let's go to number 7. They assert their dominance with tactics like open street praying. Well, we discussed that because that's what they do. That's around about 7 o'clock. And then create these Islamic parties, which they're already doing. And then this idiot Stasi thinks he's going to get their vote. Well, you're not, mate, because they've got their own party now, which doesn't care about the indigenous people or any other people or any other religion other than theirs. And they're going to make sure that they're going to push and push and push till they have enough in Parliament to make changes that you won't like. And then they're going to use the Islamophobia laws to suppress freedom of speech. We've already discussed that. They're doing that already. The blasphemy law that they're trying to bring in. And we won't be able to defend or say anything because we'll get arrested by this idiot Stasi group again. And I just think we're getting really, I think the clock is ticking too fast. I mean, where I thought we were, which is on the next clip, or not the next clip, it's the clip after, I think we're far past that right now. And then the Islamic terror attacks increase. Like I say, Muslims, nice Muslims don't want this. Good Muslims don't want to just get on with their lives and get on and do what they normally do. They do their job. They get in. But they're getting bad press because of the suppression of them. The way that now more women are wearing in the UK the burqa, which I believe should be banned, and there's many that don't work there, but we'll have a look at that in a bit. And then we get on to the next bit of the Islamic calendar, the doomsday clock. Provoke the host nation into civil war. Now, that's a very clever tactic, because if we start fighting with the government in a civil way, they will sit on the sidelines and pick up the pieces, and basically we become weaker, and they will then start forcing more and more on us and establish Sharia law at the midnight hour, shall we say. Now, I don't know how good this clock is. I've seen it before. Who actually put it together, don't know. But many of the things that you're watching there actually are happening. Now, I thought, I don't want to be converted to nothing. I am what I am, and I will always be. But I'm an old man. It's not me. It's your children and grandchildren who are going to suffer. We've got idiot government which needs to be got rid of. So let's see, other than me saying this, let's see some other person, rather than a white man, what they think about whether they should convert to Islam and whether they think it's a problem. Now, again, if you're Sikh, if you're Hindu, if you're black, if you're Chinese, whatever you are, you're under threat, unless you're a Muslim, of course. Let's see what this girl says.
Is Islam really a problem?
I honestly think that wherever you go in the world, you should respect the rules of the land. Right. You can't try to take over. Okay. And I think the mentality that says not all Muslims, some Muslims believe that Sharia law should be the main law in the UK. Right. It's too far. Yeah. It's just taking it too far. Yeah. So if I went to an Islamic country, I wouldn't try to impose my values on that country. Yeah. I genuinely believe in live and let live, but you shouldn't try to convert. I don't want to be converted either. I don't want to be taken over, and I don't want to be converted.
Well, there you go. The lady there says it all, doesn't she? I mean, she doesn't want to be converted. She believes that you shouldn't go to another country and try to impose your ways, which is right. If I went to Saudi Arabia, I would live by the law of Saudi Arabia. I would do what I'm supposed to do. If I went to Pakistan or any other Muslim country, I would basically accept their laws and ways because I am a guest in the country and I would live in accordance to what their laws are. I wouldn't go there and try and change it. Oh no, it's not for me to do. But, as that lady says, she doesn't want to be changed. She wants to get on with her life. As I said before, there's so many other groups who have not similar, but have religions that demand certain things from them, and they do it, but they still sort of assimilate into the Western culture. I always speak about Sikh people, because I work with a lot of Sikh people, and they're marvelous people. And you can go to their temple; they will accept you, and they do intermarry, same as Hindus, same. And they come from the same continent as Muslims, but they have a different outlook in life completely. They look, in fact, Sikhs are party animals. Don't send me anything bad because they are. I love them to death. They're good people. Anyway, and so are Hindus. Well, my very best friend was a Hindu, and from years ago, he's dead now. And we had some fantastic times with him and his family. And they were no different. They had their religion, they followed it, but they also had a life outside of their religion. Okay, I go on too long about that. So, I spoke about, when we looked at the clock of doom at the 6 o'clock position, infiltration of councils and target seats in government, it said. Are we there? You let me know, because you can let me know. You can get you look at all the places you can get, all those places you get in touch with me there, right? And let me know. But are we there, or maybe we're not? Maybe we're further ahead, or maybe we're behind. But is that Islam taking us all over? And Starmer, the idiot, the government, the sort of idiot government of Starmer, so stupid they can't see it. You know, they just can't not see it. And I just think that the man is a fool, the government is stupid, they're killing pensioners, they're doing all sorts of stuff to make them hated, but biggest thing still, they're causing a big division in the country by pandering to just one group of people. Now, let's have a look at this. I found this, and it was a young lady that first. I saw two versions of it. I thought I'd just stick this on. And we talked about infiltration. Now, are we here already, or on the clock of doom, or is it that we still have a little bit of time to try and put it right? Let's have a look at this. I quite like this one.
The mayor of London is Muslim. The mayor of Birmingham is a Muslim. The mayor of Leeds is Muslim. The mayor of Blackburn is Muslim. The mayor of Sheffield is Muslim. The mayor of Oxford is a Muslim. The mayor of Luton is a Muslim. The mayor of Oldham is a Muslim. The mayor of Rochdale is a Muslim. All of this was achieved by only 4 million Muslims out of the 66 million people in England. Today in England, there are over 3,000 mosques. There are over 130 Sharia courts in England, and there are more than 50 Sharia councils. 78% of Muslim women do not work and receive state support and free accommodation. 63% of Muslims do not work and receive state support and free housing. State-supported Muslim families have an average of 6 to 8 children who all receive free accommodation. Every school in the UK is required to teach about Islam. The number one most common baby name in England is Muhammad. This is not immigration, this is invasion.
Well, okay. I kind of think that some of those particular things were wrong. I hope they were wrong. I mean, I don't know if you all have 6 to 8 children. But the fact is that there is reasons why Muslim women don't work, because their husbands don't want them to work. They don't want them exposed to the outside world. They want them in the house, having children, cleaning the house, and not going out. That's what they want. And so I think the women in the Islamic religion are very downtrodden people. But there's a few that break out, but I'm sure that they suffer for it from their family and such like. There's very few intermarriages, and what they are, they get disowned from the mosque, disowned by their family, they're not spoken to. There's also been, even here in the UK, honour killings because they've gone outside their faith and outside of their culture. So, you know, I can believe a lot of what it said about women, maybe not so many children, but hey, I'm not sure. I didn't do the figures, I don't know how true they are. And that's probably why they don't work. And I'm not blaming the women, I'm blaming these radical men that say, you can't go out, you've got to stay in here. Don't look at another man, else I'll have you stoned, you know, or whipped, because they're doing that as well. They whip the women. A lot of the young kids who wear in burqa in protest, they're just stupid, don't know what they're doing, think it's my right to do the well, yes, okay, wear it if you want, but you're being suppressed. You know you are. And that's it. And I know from first hand, but I won't go into that. So, are we being infiltrated? I certainly think we are. Is Islam becoming more powerful in the UK? I think, say that correct, Michael. Is radical Islam becoming more powerful? Yes. Is it frightening? Yes, it is. Is it frightening for everybody? Yes, including good Muslims who don't want that. But I'm afraid we'll have to accept it. Can something be done? I don't know. We have a government that's completely idiotic, and I don't think they're going to do anything to change things or put things right. In fact, it can only get worse under this government. So a little bit of an insight into what's going on, I think. Don't immediately go around next door if you've got a Muslim next door and start being horrible, because they're not all bad. It's the radicals, but there's a lot of them around the world. Bigger population of radical Muslims than there is in some countries that are ready to destroy you. These are the ones that we want to eradicate. Just on a note of eradication, sees it's today. Only today, a group of lawyers have gone to the UK courts to ask for the Hamas to be declassified as a terrorist organisation. That's the funniest thing I've heard, isn't it? How dare they? There's even Palestinians now, I feel for them, are standing up to them, are saying we don't want it. But these people are the people that should be helped right now. And you idiots that go out every weekend with your silly scarves saying free Palestine, you want to sit down and watch a series called The World at War. And you'll see what real genocide is. I forgot what episode it is. Also, the people who go out demonstrating don't even know where Palestine is. And they are supporting Hamas, as far as I'm concerned, by demonstrating. Another question I want to ask is, what have the Jewish people actually done forever, as far as I can see, that's been wrong, that they deserve all that they get, deserve this anti-Semitic stuff that goes on? Why do they do it? I've also worked with Jewish people. They're great people. They love to make money. What have they done that's bad? Somebody better tell me, because I don't know. Anyway, I'm going to let the Vice President of the USA, yes, let me just find this here, because I don't know. The Vice President of USA, J.D. Vance, to have the last word on this topic today. And I'll play the clip first, and then I'll give you my reaction straight after here. This is J.D. Vance on the subject of the UK. Here we go.
By the way, I have to beat up on the UK. Just one additional thing. I was talking with a friend recently, and we were talking about, one of the big dangers in the world, of course, is nuclear proliferation, though, of course, the Biden administration doesn't care about it. And I was talking about, what is the first truly Islamist country that will get a nuclear weapon? And we were like, maybe it's Iran, maybe Pakistan already kind of counts. And then we sort of finally decided maybe it's actually the UK, since Labour just took over. But to my Tory friends, I have to say, you guys have got to get a handle on this, but neither here nor there.
I think the man's very, very right. J.D. Vance, Vice President of the USA, basically saying that we're a bunch of weak-willed blonkers. We're allowing this to happen. And the fact that the first nuclear power could be the UK because it'll be taken over, that's what he's saying, by these radical Islamist people. Okay, so once again, I warn you, don't tar everybody with the same brush. Not all Muslims are bad. In fact, a lot of Muslims do a lot of good. But they get penalized in their own communities for being that way, or even to some cases cast out. And women, for example, who've gone against their family have even been stoned, and honour killings have taken place in the UK and in Europe. So think on before you start condemning all of them. But 15%, yeah, 180 million or 300 million people that hate the Western civilization. It's not good. All I can say is something has to change. Something has to be done. And who's going to do it? I don't know. If it will be done, I don't know. What have I got left here? Who knows? Maybe I'll be gone and it'll all carry on without me, which it will anyway. And my grandchildren, or not my grandchildren, I've got any children, my grand nephews and nieces and all the rest of it will all be wearing burqas when they grow up. It's going to be a sad state of affairs. Or Mr. Putin will probably decide and have a war before then, and then we'll all get mixed up with it. Anyway, that's it. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my comeback. As I say, I'm playing with this equipment, which is doing my head in, and I'll just tell you quickly. It's a thing called an encoder, which you have to program with where you want to send your signal to, Facebook or wherever you go to, and instead of working through computers, so it takes the load off your computers. It's an encoder that stands alone, a standalone encoder. But can I sort it out? No. Don't forget though, I am nearly 72 now, and technology I'm pretty good at, but that one's got me stumped. I actually am talking to China at the moment every other day to try and get it. They've been really good though. The company that sent it to me, I want to work a certain way and they're trying to help me to do it. And the company, it's called Orivision, O-R-I-V-I, Orivision. And they make these things. And the lady over there that's been liaising with me, she's been doing a great job. She's trying her hardest, and obviously eventually I'll get it done. Anyway, that's it for today. So take care of yourself. Don't forget, get in touch. Let me know some comments, and subscribe. If you go on Rumble, because you can watch me on Rumble, if you go on Rumble and you find me, say hello or say like or do what the things you do, and is it subscribe? Yes, subscribe. Whatever you do all that, and let me know. And send me your feedback. I do like to get feedback, which I do get, which is great. At the email at bestbeforetv@gmail.com, or at X, I said it again instead of Twitter, X at bestbeforet, and obviously if you want to reply, I'll give you one, no problem. Okay, so until the next time, it's the old Git signing off and saying, well, that's another show under my belt, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let me know. See you soon. Stay safe.